Hey everyone, welcome to the Checkered Chat. I'm Justin,
I'm Blake.
and we are bringing you guys some weekly news in NASCAR, some recapping of the Clash. Then we're gonna preview the duels, and next week we will be previewing the Daytona 500, the biggest race in NASCAR that happens next to Talladega. Um, so Blake, what'd you do this week?
So watched the Clash, like most of us did, and then spent way too much time watching the new NASCAR channel
Oh
on Tubi.
yeah,
All the old races.
yeah. Last night the '79 Daytona 5. I had
Yeah,
to look it up to find out which one it was because I turned it on, and I think Dale was in like second or third, and they said something about like this will be the first time a rookie has ever won the Daytona 500.
yeah,
And I was like, oh, so it's his rookie year. And I looked it up. I was like, okay, so this is '79.
yeah.
He was running the
Number
right,
two,
yeah, and the Wrangler ski.
I
I
think
think
so.
it
Yeah,
looked like with those old races, it's so hard to actually be able to tell like what the car. You just can see colors. You can't
right.
read anything.
Yeah, that was the one where Kale and Bobby Allison fought when they wrecked each other out from first and second,
Oh
and Richard
yeah.
Petty from like half lap behind won it.
That was the
I think
that
that was
was
the
first woman. That was the first
like
car.
nationally televised
Yeah.
500 or race in general, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Petty's car was the first one I recognized when I turned it on because I'll turn it on while it's my I have nothing to watch and Mal is doing something, so I'm gonna watch this like background background noise thing to turn on. Yeah. So yeah, the new NASCAR Tubi channel is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I like it a lot. Um, yeah. So, anything else from this week?
Just got a haircut.
Got a haircut. Show the people. Hopefully, this video aspect works of this with this being in here. If it doesn't,
You're not
we'll
seeing it,
yeah,
so
you're
just
not seeing it.
disregard it.
You'll see it on TikTok or Instagram Reels, whichever you prefer to watch any of our content on. Um, but yeah, so my week, I worked. My shift just changed this week. I used to work second shift, and now I'm on first shift, which is awesome. Even though I have to get up at 4:30 in the morning, it is what it is. But I got up at 4:30 a.m. and I'm here recording this podcast. Not asleep. Thank God. I'm gonna adjust my chair. That will probably help me because I feel like I'm hunching over. Okay, now we're back. So other than that, we trying to think what we did this week. We didn't do a ton so far. Just you know, watch the Clash. Um, Clash was insane. Like
Great.
such a great race. I mean, honestly, like seeing NASCAR come in and give Bowman Gray a facelift
Yeah.
was pretty awesome. But even giving it a facelift and like still keeping
Like the charm of
the
it,
charm of it and the like for instance like the one I can't remember what turn it is, but where the
like coming off four
grandstands.
where the grandstands kind of
Yes.
hang over a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And you can they kept that in there and like that was a factor in the race for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, it was the Clash was super cool. And granted, if you listen to last week's episode, you know that last year was the first year that I watched a full season. And technically speaking, that's not true. because I did not start watching till the week after Atlanta, which Atlanta I was there.
Right.
Um, so technically, this is my first full season. So I never watched the Clash at the LA Coliseum,
Yeah.
but I can imagine coming in and building a track. I mean, I think on Dale Jr. Download this week, Dale said he was like, yeah, nobody would ever go and rebuild the LA Coliseum track anywhere.
Yeah.
Like he was talking about, he's like, if someone gave you, hey, here's enough money to go and build a short track in your hometown, you wouldn't try and copy the LA Coliseum.
Well,
Like,
the layout of it was just a little, a little strange because like the turns were almost like angled, kinda. Like they made
okay,
the front and back stretch so long, and I mean they kind of had to do something weird with working with the shape of the Coliseum already,
mm-hmm.
but it was like really long front and back stretch, and then the turns were like almost an afterthought. They were just very like they were almost sharp in like the apex of it.
That's so weird. Yeah, I mean, I I am. I mean, I'm shocked that it was in LA for so long, or I mean 3 years.
Yeah.
But so every year they had to come in and rebuild the whole track.
Right.
Granted, it's the start of the season, so it's like
They
they
had time.
they had time, but it's still like
I think that was probably part of the thing too that made the racing a little better. Well, not a little, a lot better this year compared to the last few at the LA Coliseum because it was brand new pavement every year. There wasn't
mm-hmm.
really, I mean, there wasn't any wear to the pavement. Tires probably didn't wear a whole bunch. Like, but then
Yeah.
you take it to somewhere that's a purpose built racetrack. They race
Mm.
on it in the summers every weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, it worked a whole lot better.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. So we're gonna save a little bit about the Clash for our actual recapping of the Clash. Um, so Blake, what happened this week in news, not in the
News
race?
wise, so um, Xfinity will not be returning as the title sponsor for what's now the Xfinity series. After this year, still no word on what's taking its place. Maybe, hopefully, putting it out there, we get the Busch series again.
Yeah, Bush can stop sponsoring Ross Chastain and sponsor the whole Xfinity series,
Right.
please. Because almost everybody that you listen to, when they go to say the Xfinity series, they'll start with the Bush series. Oh,
Yeah.
my bad, the Xfinity series.
Right.
It would make so much sense. I mean,
Yeah.
bringing that back, from like a marketing aspect, nostalgia is such a big thing right now with
Yeah.
every single thing. It would literally, I mean, for me and for you, I mean, I know I'm speaking for you, but
Yeah.
it would bring back a lot of nostalgia, and I think it would make the series bigger. I feel like more people would watch it if it was the Bush series.
Yeah.
I
That's just
wouldn't.
kind of what I grew up with it being. So, like,
Yeah.
even I catch myself sometimes rather than saying
Mhm.
Xfinity series, still calling it the Busch series. But, I mean,
I think I wouldn't be shocked if it became the CW series,
yeah,
with the CW being
they
the
have like the
broadcast
exclusive
now.
rights for the
Yeah.
broadcast for it. And
So I think that honestly, that's what I think it's going to end up being is the CW.
yeah, it wouldn't shock me if that was the case.
Either that or I don't even know.
The Busch series is the dream, and
yeah,
then
the
the
Bush.
CW is probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I mean, it's been the Xfinity series since what year?
Early 2010s to mid 2010s, somewhere in
Because
there.
it was there between Bush and Xfinity. It was nationwide.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
because
think Xfinity probably would have taken over about 25th. Well, No, because when Chase won his Xfinity, when he won the championship in that series, I think it was nationwide. So
You know
Xfinity
what?
probably didn't take over till 2016.
Hold on, it is 2016 because when I read the article about it, they said it was a 10-year contract deal and they're ending it after this season.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah,
it's either 2015, 2016, something
one of
like that.
those. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's huge. So the next thing for this week's news, we have the with backtracking a little bit. Xfinity is still remaining a
Right.
sponsor for Cup Series. Um,
It's gonna be like what they say, like one of the title sponsors or
Something like that. It's yes, something another like that. I can't remember exactly what they said. Um, Here, that feels a lot better. I didn't have anywhere to put my arm. Yeah. So but this next thing in the news is what reminded me of that. So they're bringing back, well, not bringing back necessarily, but they are doing a playoff point for the fastest lap ran at each race.
yeah.
In all three series. Now, Blake, remind me what. Okay, when you're in the top 10 of the stage,
Yeah.
is it 1 point for 10th? How many
Well,
points is each position?
so if you win the stage, you get one playoff point. But
Okay.
regular point wise, first is 10 points, and then it trickles down to
Dang.
10th is
Okay.
1 point.
So it's literally this is gonna. I'm sorry if I sound uneducated or whatever. You guys can come at me if you want. So it's literally if you run the fastest lap,
It's like
it's like
winning a
winning a
stage.
stage.
And then if you win the race, it's 5 playoff points.
Good lord. Yeah,
So
that's
there
huge.
there was a tweet where somebody had put out if they would have done the fastest lap last year, Larson would have had 5 extra playoff points from fastest laps. Bell, Hamlin, and SVG would all have 3. Let's see, Keselowski, Gibbs, and Bubba Wallace would have 2, and then there's a bunch at 1. It's let's see, Logano, Blaney, Reddick, Hemrick, Chastain, Bush, Cindric, Bowman, Elliott, Truex, Stenhouse, Briscoe, Hocevar, John Hunter Nemechek, Austin Dillon, and Corey LaJoy.
I was about to say because I remember Coy LaJoy talking about on Stacking Pennies that there. I think it was Talladega maybe or something. He was down like 10, 15 laps, and
Checks out.
he yeah. I mean, for sure.
Probably wrecked himself.
I don't know, but he's one of the usual suspects. So I remember him talking about he was just like, screw it, I'm gonna try and just, you know, haul ass and actually make a good lap time, and he ended up running the fastest lap
Yeah.
at that race. Um, so was there anything else that came up this week?
I think that was really the big news.
Yeah, I was about to say there wasn't much last week was a lot more news because it covered the entire off season. Now
Right.
we're looking at just a week.
I mean, you had like smaller things just where in like press conference interviews of the Clash where like so for the open or for all the races this year there's an open provisional for a world
Oh
class
yeah.
driver,
Mm-hmm.
and Denny said that made the sport look desperate and it was a bad look, and
I wouldn't say it looks desperate. I mean,
I think it's just you want to like they want world class drivers to come in. They want more like how in the past couple years with Coda we've had like former F1 drivers come over and race.
mm-hmm.
We've had other supercar drivers come over for one offs, like kind
Yeah,
of follow SVG on
yeah,
that.
mm-hmm.
And I don't really think it's desperate. I just think it's more. It gives some of them an incentive to come because at least one of them's locked in.
Yeah, no, that's the thing.
You wouldn't come
Cause
all the way over here and then not make the race.
yeah, cause I mean, if you've got, say down the road, Daytona 500 or something, Max Verstappen comes and runs. You're gonna have a lot of people who are big F1 fans who
Yeah,
are like, "Oh, I'm gonna go buy a ticket to that," and you may have people traveling from
Europe.
Texas, Oklahoma, Europe, everywhere. Like it, you know, you don't want to have people be like, "Oh, but he could not make the race,"
Yeah,
and then then I'm not gonna buy a ticket. But if it's a guaranteed spot, that makes sense.
I think it just adds like a little bit of hype to some of the events where like
Yeah,
if you have like Daniel Ricciardo come over and do a Daytona 500 or like Circuit of the Americas or Mexico this year or anything like that, just kind of you would know very early on when they announce that they want to come do it if they got that provisional or not. You know who's
yeah,
in.
definitely.
I mean, I get to an extent what he's saying where like, well, what if somebody comes over and they're 2 seconds off the pace and they're just going to be a moving chicane the whole race and it's
Yeah,
I mean, I get that, but
yeah, definitely.
I mean, I get both sides of it, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. Um, Definitely can understand both sides for sure. Um, yeah, it's really interesting that they did this and then didn't really they announced it and Helio has it for the 500.
Yeah.
They and people they have to apply for it 90 days before. Believe that's
Yeah,
the
that
correct.
sounds right.
Um, but for instance, Martin Truex, Jimmy Johnson, they didn't know about it.
Yeah.
They didn't know that they could apply for it because they were former NASCAR drivers. I think when it first originally, well, did they just announce it?
No, I think
I want to say they announced it in the off season.
they did announce it in the off season, but I think it was relatively close to the 90-day like cutoff. I don't know.
That makes sense. Yeah.
It felt like you didn't really hear that that was a thing until until they was like, oh, Elio Castroneves running the
Mm,
Trackhouse 91 is gonna get it.
that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. I think that they could have made it a little more known, I guess, for like the former NASCAR driver guys.
So they could still get it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Or at least apply for it. Cuz this is my thing though is if they're going to have what happens when there's multiple people applying for it? Cuz think about it, like next year with the Daytona 500,
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Martin Truex going to apply for it.
Probably.
Jimmy Johnson, probably. I mean, he's probably going to apply for it for all of his races
Yeah.
so that he doesn't run the chance of not making
Which
it.
I think most of the races he'll run, he won't run into the chance of not
That's
really
true.
getting it.
True. Yeah. Well, I think that wraps up this week's news in NASCAR, right? Yes, that
Yeah.
does. Yeah, yeah. So on to the Clash. So I think one of the kind of craziest parts of this whole weekend, um, having three of the four Hendrick cars make it in on the duels.
Yeah, like they made it just strictly off the heat races.
Yes. Why am I saying duels? I meant heat races. My bad, guys. Sorry. Yeah, making it in off the heat races. Um, yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Um, because I mean, I didn't expect Larson to not make it. If you told me without me watching it, hey, only three of the four Hendrick cars made it, I would have thought Bowman didn't make it.
Well, I mean, there. I I think it would have been surprising just off the fact of how good all four of them historically run on short
Mm-hmm.
tracks.
Yeah.
I mean, Martinsville's like a huge race for Hendrick every year. They always do pretty good there.
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah, that was kind of I think the biggest from the heat race. Well,
Well, I
there
mean,
was more to it.
the heat races were just complete insanity.
Yeah.
Well, the first and the last one, the middle two, I think they kind of just were like, let's not go out there and do that.
Yeah, cuz what it was Kyle Busch and was it Justin Haley? I
I mean, it
think
was Noah Gragson, Kyle Busch, and Justin Haley in the
that's
first
right
one.
because Gregson had that 3 wide pass.
Yeah.
That was yeah, that was in the heat
And it
racing.
was kind of funny because it'd be like Noah would get into the back of like Justin Haley, and then he would get into the back of Kyle Busch, or like those three just found each other the whole time.
Yeah.
Like that, one of them was always hitting somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Haley more than the others. Justin Haley was just complete madman.
Kamikaze himself to gain a position.
Yeah.
That was I thought it was really funny seeing some classic KFB
Yeah.
in that under caution.
Just riding around locked to his
Yeah.
bumper. Come on the radio. They're like, hey, man, let's not do that. Continues to do it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is the final warning from NASCAR. Get off of them. And then
Yeah.
classic Kyle Busch. Oh, okay. So but we can do it under green, but not under caution. Gotcha. Backs off.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I love Bush. He's him going and listening to old radio transmissions of him and Kurt
Oh, yeah.
are so funny. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's definitely a YouTube rabbit hole that I've fallen down before.
Yeah.
And I want to say me and Blake have sat there and watched these.
Most likely.
Yeah. And then another thing from the heat races, the RFK cars.
Came out of nowhere.
Yeah. No, I mean.
Well, I mean, not well in terms of the clash, they came out of
Yeah,
nowhere because they haven't really done good.
Yeah, that's the thing with it's like they didn't make it all 3 years in LA, right?
I know 1 year they didn't make it entirely, and then I think 1 year Brad made it and Chris Buescher didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the exacts, but I know they didn't. That wasn't a fun time for them usually.
Yeah. And that was another thing that I thought I liked with it being at Bowman Gray, because it wasn't like, oh, you hauled all of your stuff out to LA. Oh, well, you didn't make
Turn
it.
around and go home.
Yeah, turn around and go home. Bowman Gray's like an hour.
Yeah, I think it was like 40, 50 miles probably from most of
Yeah.
the shops.
Like that makes more sense.
And I mean, Buescher won his heat race. He won the second heat. And then going back to the first one, Chase Elliott won that one, led every single lap of it. And then Buescher, he pretty much led every lap of his. If not, I think he did lead every lap of his. If not, maybe Briscoe leading a lap or two. I know Briscoe was the only one that really had anything for Buescher in that one, it felt like.
Yeah. I can't remember off the top of my head if he led every single lap or if it was different. He probably did. Odds are. Yeah, because RFK did really good.
And Brad raced his way in the first heat. He finished second.
Mm-hmm.
And then also in the first one, Gragson raced his way in, Kyle Busch raced his way in, and Ross Chastain.
Yeah, that was. I felt like RFK and 2/3 of Trackhouse did really well.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I guess we can go into this part I put in here. On a short track, SVG finishing top 10.
Yeah.
That's huge, because I feel like the biggest question with him is him doing short track racing,
Yeah.
and
because it's kind of foreign to him.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because there's no doubt this year that he's going to come in and dominate road courses.
Yeah.
I mean,
At least win one, probably multiple.
Yeah, I mean, because you have Watkins Glen. He came in second.
Yeah.
Was gonna win it minus one small screw up.
Right.
And Busher passes him. Chicago.
Yeah. Sonoma. Circuit of the Americas.
Coda.
Charlotte Roval. And Mexico.
Yeah, that's another one because I want to say that. Oh crap. V8 supercars. They raced on a form of that track.
I have no clue.
I want to say that I heard that this week. So I think going into Mexico, I think he's got the biggest chance to win there specifically.
Yeah, and too, like, he won the Chicago street course, and nobody else had any laps on it ever. Nobody had any experience, and he went in and won, and history could repeat itself, and nobody has experience on it, and he goes in and does really good.
That is true. I definitely could see that for sure. Let's see here.
Yeah, because SVG so he was in the second heat, the one that Chris Buescher won. He finished third. Chase Briscoe finished second, and then Bubba Wallace was fourth, and Suarez was fifth.
Okay, I take back what I said about 2/3 of them doing
well. That was kind of the highlight of his weekend, I think.
I mean, I think, in my opinion, for the Clash, considering to get in, you have the heat races. It's like almost doing well is, I mean, the start of it is just making the race.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was the heat races were awesome. I loved it. I thought it was great.
The third heat was the Denny Hamlin won it, and then Joey Logano was second. Byron was third. Hocevar was fourth. He did really good.
Mm-hmm.
Until he didn't later, and then Bowman was fifth.
Okay.
So he was the last transfer, and that was the last of the tame heat races, really, because the fourth one wasn't as crazy as the first one, but you had AJ Allmendinger just straight running Cole Custer into the outside wall.
Yeah, that was
for no reason.
Yeah, it's funny seeing two former, which I mean, they're almost all of them are former Xfinity drivers.
They kind of they were in the Cup Series together, and then they went back down, and now they're back up. So it's kind of like they've rode the wave of up and down together almost.
Yeah, that's been that was hilarious. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that was the race. The fourth heat race was the one too where John Hunter Nemechek, he didn't really do anything wrong. He just your typical short track bump and run, and he really didn't even get too much of a run away from Ryan Preece. He just bumped him a little bit, moved him up, went through, and then Preece just wasn't having it. Just never braked way too late, never gonna make the turn. Just absolutely sent him into the outside wall into 3 and 4.
Yeah, that was
kind of uncalled for. I mean, it was Bowman Graves to Madhouse. It was awesome, but that was one where it was like,
hey,
he didn't really rough you up that bad.
Yeah,
he just bumped you. He got around you. Just bump him back. Just pass him, and then you have good beating and banging short track racing, but can't really have that when you just back them into the outside wall and destroy their car.
That's true. I think also seeing in general heat race into last chance qualifying the two local guys.
Yeah, Burt Myers and oh Lord, what was it? Tim
Tim Brown.
Tim Brown.
Tim
Yeah.
Brown, yeah. Um, how well they had done or did during all of that. I mean, because having you don't run a cup car
Ever.
ever.
That was their first time.
Yeah. So, and I mean, you got to think they're working on these cup cars in their personal garages. You know.
And I mean, it was I want to say it was uh it wasn't it was Burt Myers they were talking about. He's a mechanic at Rick Ware, I believe.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't
Which
know
they also are like some of probably the most winning drivers ever at Bowman Gray.
Yeah, yeah. I
But,
want to
like,
say I think
that was his day job, if you would like.
yeah. Yeah. Cuz I want to say one of them has I think only like 2 more wins.
Or like championships or something.
Something like that. I can't remember the exact of all of that, but cuz I remember people being like, "Who should you root for to win?"
Yeah.
Like, who would be better?
And then I guess to wrap the heats up, the fourth heat, Tyler Reddick won. Bell finished second. Priest finished third. Cindric was fourth, and Todd Gilliland was fifth.
And also to talking about Tyler Reddick, that paint scheme,
Best one.
yeah,
By a mile.
I didn't realize that was the tape was reflective.
Yeah.
I would have made that my paint scheme of the week. For those of you that follow us on TikTok, you saw that. And if you don't follow us on TikTok, follow us, please, at the Checkered Chat. Yeah, that car looked really good.
That was my pick for my
Yeah.
best of the week.
You didn't screw up your pick like I did.
I screwed up my race pick, but I was happy about it.
I mean, yeah,
jumping ahead a little bit.
Same
but...
here. So last chance qualifying, Larson dominated it.
Yeah, I mean, he found his way through.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of it, the car was pretty destroyed.
Yes, to be fair.
Found his way through, made it up, and won. And then I really think what it came down to was like he was aggressive when he needed to be. He kind of held back when he needed to.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the flip side of it, Josh Berry finished second, and I mean, he kind of just said, "All right, if you're in my way, you're getting bumped. I'm moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about it."
Yeah.
But I mean, really, until the end, it looked like it was gonna be Eric Jones, not Josh Berry.
Yeah.
Because Eric Jones was kind of dominating it for the most part. It felt like.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what were some bigger names that didn't make it in. I mean, obviously, Austin Dillon didn't make it in because he came in like what was it, fourth?
I think third or fourth. I think he spent a little too much time at the beginning.
He spent too much time
battling
his brother.
Yeah,
yeah. That was so funny because I think there was some radio transmission and he's like, "Who was that just did that? It's freaking Ty," or something like that. That definitely cracked me up for sure.
Yeah, Ricky Stenhouse didn't make it
because he wrecked Burt Myers.
Well, I will go opposite of it. If
whatever.
you go back and watch, which Burt Myers was awesome for. They put the camera in his face afterward, and they were like, "Hey man, here's the replay of it. What do you think?" And he was like, "Essentially, that's an awful replay. I can't see anything from that angle." Shout out Fox.
Yeah.
But you know, go on Twitter, TikTok, whatever, and then some of the better angles start showing. And I mean, he kind of just cleared himself.
Yeah.
He kind of just drove down right off the nose. In real time, watching it, yeah, kind of looked like Ricky. Also easy to point the blame at Ricky.
Yeah, I mean...
Normally somebody new comes into the series and he terrorizes them.
Ricky Spenhouse.
Yeah. But that one probably was a little more on Burt.
I thought it was funny. I think... I don't know if it was Bert's Twitter, if he has a team Twitter or whatever it is. I don't know. He posted a photo of him standing on Ricky's tailgate. He's
Oh, where they
like,
like photoshopped it
yes, yeah, yeah.
from
Okay,
Wilkesboro
so
last year.
it was photoshopped. Yeah,
Because it was last year at the All Star race. It was Ricky and Kyle Busch.
yeah, yeah. That. Oh my god. I remember that circulating for so long, and I remember I had went to bed before the end of the race, and I woke up, and I'm like, immediately, my general instinct is to open Instagram to find out who won, because normally Monday morning it's the first thing that shows up.
Yeah.
All I see is videos of that fight. I didn't see. I was like, I scrolled for about 10 minutes, and I'm like, who won the race? Then had to go to the NASCAR app and
Find it.
and I'm like, oh great, Mr. Legos won.
Well, it was funny too because like I was there for that. And
Oh yeah, you were. I forgot.
and
Gosh.
so I'd taken my film camera with me, and I was taking pictures throughout the race. When I went and got it developed, I was like, oh, this is hilarious. I thought I was just taking a picture of Ricky's car after all that in his pit. No, I took a picture of him parked in Kyle Busch's pit stall when the crew was like going at the car.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. You never told me that.
I thought I did.
Maybe you did, and I just don't remember. I don't know. I can forget things very easily. So now we're finally at the clash.
You're
Right?
forgetting one big thing of the last chance qualifier. So Justin Haley kind of toned it back a little bit, but him and Ty Gibbs get into each other.
And Ty Gibbs played Rocket League.
I mean, he did his best Danica Patrick impersonation, he tried to like save it because he was getting spun. He kind of did, and then he went to go hit the 7 car, like try to wreck Justin Haley again, like get him back. Spins it out straight into the grass, and then I guess he was going to try to break the toe link on the car or something. I don't know. He was door slamming him on the way out. I mean, that car, almost every wheel came off the ground.
Yeah. No, that was...
I like drove up the side almost, kind of.
I think what happened is the tires kind of just went up on each other, and that's what sent them so much. But, I mean, if you play Rocket League, you know what an aerial is. And that looked like what he was trying to do. That was, yeah. I put in our show notes, I said Ty Gibbs seeing God for 0.5 seconds. And I'm sure that, gosh, the amount of back pain.
Oh, I mean, that had to hurt.
It looked like
Do you see the clip of Blaney talking about it? He was on Door Bumper Clear, I think.
Yeah.
And he was like, I've bottomed one of these cars out, and there's like there's metal under the car. Like that'll hit, and like when you bottom it out, it hurts. And he was like, if that was me, I wouldn't be here this morning talking to you guys.
Yeah.
Probably be in the hospital.
Yeah.
Like I'd be bedridden. I wouldn't go nowhere.
Yeah.
Like I'd be in serious pain.
Gosh, yeah. That was probably the craziest thing, because I was like, I saw it happen and I was like, dang. I'm like, did he get airborne? And then they showed the replay of it, and I'm like, he definitely did.
Oh yeah, I knew from right when it happened. I won't lie. I was laughing at that one pretty good. That was great.
Yeah, that.
I mean, ran out of skill, trying to show your displeasure.
Yeah.
Shout out the Silver Spoon kid.
Yeah. So.
And really, the only other big thing before we move on was just Eric Jones kind of dominated. He was up in the top 3 pretty much the whole time, led a bunch of laps, and then I know Larson was involved, but I think it was Larson, Berry, and Jones all kind of got together off of 4, and Eric Jones spun in front of the field. And
yeah.
that pretty much ended his day and kind of solidified that Larson and Berry were going to make it in, because Austin Dillon was there, but I don't really think he had the speed
Yeah.
to catch Barry.
No, I don't think so at all. Um so moving on to the main event of the night, the Clash. Um I feel like we've talked a little bit about it, but SVG finishes top 10,
Yeah.
which was crazy.
I think it was ninth, wasn't it?
Something like that.
I
I
mean,
can't
ran
remember.
pretty good.
Yeah, no, all night.
Definitely aggressive where he needed to be. Nothing. I think the big thing was like it was super impressive where he finished, and he was aggressive where he needed to be and all that. But it was really he didn't make a mistake.
Yeah, that was like I think kind of the one of the biggest things was he did not make a mistake. And that's what I mean, he did really well. I mean, cuz everybody has been like, "Oh, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but the biggest worry with him is short tracks when
Yeah,
it comes to him running a full-time cup schedule."
and it kind of reminds me of like Marcus Ambrose back in the day. He was a like V8 supercar driver from. Well, I
Mhm.
think he was from Australia, but I mean, pretty similar.
Yeah.
And the big thing with him coming over was, well, how's he going to translate to the ovals? We know he's going to do good on road courses because back then road course ringers were even bigger of a thing than now.
Yeah.
And over time, he got better.
Mhm.
And I think he, I don't think he'll win an oval this year per se,
No, I don't think
but
he's going to he
I
could.
think he'll get some top tens. And
Yeah.
really for him, if he could just make it through a race and you don't hear his name much, that's
Mhm.
good.
Yeah.
You're not making mistakes. You're not, you're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is his rookie season.
Yeah.
So, um so Blaney gets the point provisional for last season to make
Yeah.
it in because Logano raced his way in. Um he starts from the back,
Dead last.
dead last, finishes in second.
And I mean, even at the halfway break, he got up to 10th.
Yeah. He was cooking. That's for sure. I mean, moving and grooving his way up. Um Seeing him finish in second made my heart happy. Um, you guys know if you listened to last week, I'm a huge Blaney fan. And another thing to add while talking about Blaney and the Penske cars, all three of the Penske cars finished top 10, which was really cool to see. I feel like people are probably going to think it's weird that I'm such a big Blaney fan and my wife's a big Cindric fan, and we are not the biggest fans of Joey Logano.
That's all right.
It is what it is, you know.
Y'all picked the
But
best two out of the Penske bunch.
yes,
Like personality wise and
yeah,
all that.
that's the thing. I'm not super upset if Logano wins like last year when he won the championship. It's like I wanted it to be Blaney. I was upset,
Blaney was
but
more deserving.
yes, but it's still a Penske car. I'm a Penske fan for
Yeah.
sure. But as happy as seeing Blaney finish second made me, Chase Elliott wins the Clash.
Yeah, he did.
Um,
Dominated it.
yeah.
Led 171 laps. Most laps ever led in a Clash.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Which now, I mean, that is kind of like, cool to hear, whatnot. But Clashes didn't used to be that long in lap wise linked because they were at Daytona.
That makes sense.
So,
yeah.
woo, yeah, most laps led, awesome. But, I mean, this one was 200 laps, and Daytona nowhere near 200. I mean, 200 laps is longer than the Daytona 500 if you were to do that at Daytona.
Yeah, that's true.
But he led, talking about Chase, he led the first 96 laps of the race. And then in the moment, I kind of questioned it, but it was smart and it made sense that when Hamlin and Reddick caught up to him, rather than he held him up as long as he could.
Yeah.
He knew he was about to get moved, and I think he knew with the halfway break coming up that, make some adjustments to the car, whatever. Keep it in one piece. Don't get moved out of the way. Kind of just, it really looked like he kind of just let him go.
Yeah. No,
And
I
I mean,
agree.
I think that's probably what helped in the long run because didn't get any damage to the car.
Didn't wear tires.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
kind of just held him up as long as he could, let them go. And I mean, after that, I think they restart on lap 101. It only took like 26 laps for him to get back around though.
Yeah. That's for sure. Because what's the lowest position he dropped to that night?
Third.
Third. I was about to say. I thought so.
I'm pretty sure, maybe fourth. No, third or fourth, one of those two. But I think it was third.
Yeah. Because
I don't think Busher ever got around him. I think
no.
it was only Hamlin and Reddick that got around him.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, Busher did great. Yeah, he had great starting position, but I mean,
Still, I mean, you.
he faded a little bit at the end, but I mean, that's a big step up from not making the Clash
Yeah.
in previous years to making it
Definitely.
and then doing good in it.
Mm-hmm. So, was there anything else on the Clash?
Kyle Busch early got spun.
Mm-hmm.
It was he got spun. I believe it was from contact where Gregson and Suarez got together.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, after that, it was over. I mean, he said there was no handling in the car. He was just miserable.
Mm-hmm.
Byron got put in the wall at one point, like when Chase was about to get to lap them by Todd Gilliland. And then I saw a TikTok this week where it was the spotter communication between between Todd Spotter and Todd. And he was like, explaining, hey, Byron's there. You want to try to run him out of room. Don't run him in the wall. What's he do? Runs him in the wall.
Yeah.
And then the spotter starts yelling at him.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, come on, Todd. No.
Yeah. And then didn't Larson and Byron spun each other?
They got spun by. Let me see if I put that in here. I don't remember who it was. I feel like Hocevar was somewhere in the picture of that.
It wouldn't shock me. I mean, Hocevar a lot of stuff.
He got taken out by Bell and Logano at one point.
Mm-hmm.
I think when Larson and Byron spun, the wreck happened in front of them, and then everybody checked up, and they just kind of got caught in the checkup of it.
Yeah.
Keselowski got taken out by Bubba, and I mean, he kind of recovered, but he was running top 10 real good. I don't remember exactly where he ended up finishing, but
yeah, I can't remember.
I don't think it was top 10, or if it was 10th.
Something like that.
I think it was around 10 to 12, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, moving on to next week.
Daytona.
So,
scheduling. So, we're going to do this week for Daytona. We're going to talk about the duels. Now, we record on Thursdays, and the duels happen on Thursday. So, you'll get our duel preview today. But then the next episode you get is just going to be a Daytona 500 preview because the way our schedules work.
Yeah, we won't have any duels recap. We kind of will. We'll talk about it briefly on the Daytona 500 episode.
Yeah, we can start it off with that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that'll help set the field. There'll be stories probably coming out of it, different stuff like that.
Definitely. So, Blake, for the newer fans, can you kind of explain the duels in a sort of not necessarily super shortened and condensed version, but sort of shortened condensed?
Yeah, so with Daytona, there is going to be qualifying like every week. But what the qualifying really does for the 500 is if you qualify first or second, so front row, you're locked in. As long as that car doesn't get wrecked in the duels, nothing happens, you're 1-2. You're locked in, you're good. Then also, there's going to be 2 cars from the open entries that'll lock themselves in on speed.
Okay.
So, other than that, everything else qualifying wise is just going to set up who starts where in the duels and who's in duel 1 and who's in duel 2.
Gotcha.
The duels are going to be I think they're 60 lap races, something like that. And that's just going to set where you finish in the duel is going to set where you start in the 500. So,
Okay.
if you get the pole or you get outside front row, you're probably going to want to race for a second, get a feel of your car.
Mm-hmm.
Because in practice, you're not going to do a whole lot of drafting simulation runs
True.
because you don't want to tear your car up immediately.
Because practice is what?
I think it's like
45 minutes?
45 minutes, an
Something
hour.
like that.
Something like that, yeah. And so that they'll kind of want to get a feel of it in race trim because before that's really all they're going to get for race trim before the 500.
Mm-hmm.
But then they'll probably just drop to the back in their respective duels, finish last, call it a day, make sure the car comes home in one piece.
Mm-hmm.
But then also, 2 of the open cars will have a chance to race their way in through the duels. They just have to be the highest finishing of the open cars in that duel.
Okay.
So, I mean, there could be 3 of them, and they could be running like the last 3 spots. But if you beat the other 2, you're in.
Gotcha.
So you don't have to necessarily light the world on fire, do great. It's just if you finish ahead of the other guys.
Gotcha. All right. So on the race their way in.
Well, you want to start with qualifying for?
Oh yeah. My bad.
No, you're good. You kick us off. Who are your picks to get pole and then front row outside pole?
So
It's gonna be Blaney.
actually no. I think pole is gonna be Michael McDowell.
Okay. If he was still driving the front row Ford, I'd feel a little more confident about that. I don't know what Spire's gonna do for him.
We're gonna see. And then
I like it though.
Yeah. He's historically pretty good with super speedways.
Yeah. Except for Talladega last year when he wrecked the whole field.
Yeah, okay. You know what?
He's good at qualifying
Yes,
for sure.
Yeah. And then I think for outside, right?
Yeah, second
Second
outside pole, front
outside
row,
pole
whatever you
or
want to
front
call
row.
it.
I am going to say Austin Cindric.
Okay.
I think you got a previous Daytona 500 winner in there. Yeah, so that's my picks on the poll.
That'd be crazy for 2 years in a row not having a Hendrick car front row.
Yeah, I just don't. I think they will qualify well. I don't think that they'll get pole.
That's fair.
So what's your picks?
I'll start with pole. I'll say Alex Bowman. Qualifies historically very well there.
True.
I think it was 6 years in a row he had a streak going of being first or second.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for a while, Hendrick was unstoppable, making front row or just locking out the front row with 2 of them. And I'll say him because I feel like just historically, I think that makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah.
And then for second, outside pole, front row, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to say Brad Keselowski.
Okay.
Because I I think there's a good shot that it'll be a Ford and a Chevy. Toyotas don't historically qualify very well at super speedway tracks.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of that has to do with the car setup, because whatever you qualify with, you're locked with. That's what you have for the duel. That's what you have for the race. You can make adjustments once the duel starts, once the race starts, whatever. But I feel like they normally put more handling in the car, more of a race trim, and because I just feel like they go safer on that, and then Hendrick says, "Screw it, we're going all in. Get in the front row, fix the car when the race starts. Long race, make it back up." I don't know. Ford last year, really, I feel like most drafting tracks got the pole, or were on the front row at least.
Yeah, definitely.
And
I mean, because everybody had the whole, should we worry about Ford? That was the whole entire conversation the first half of the season.
and then shout out Joey Logano getting the pole at Atlanta and getting it taken away because he was wearing a webbed glove last year.
Glovegate. Yeah, that was a fun time. Okay.
So, open entries for this year.
Mm-hmm.
You got Corey LaJoy is going to be running the 01. And I believe, if I remember what I read right, he's going to run the 01 limited this year.
Yeah.
And he wants it to be 01 for stacking pennies.
Mm-hmm.
0.01, 1 cent.
Makes sense, because it is ran. It's a Rick Ware car.
Yeah.
But it's stacking pennies performance is the
whatever that means. Yeah. We'll
it's
see
all
what comes
podcast
of it.
promotion.
Yeah. Allgaier's gonna run.
That's a good,
and it's gonna
good
be
looking car.
Junior Motorsports debut in the Cup Series.
Mm-hmm.
The car will be. Pretty sure I'm pretty confident on this. It's prepared by Hendrick.
Yes, it is. Hey, Rosie.
JJ Yaley's gonna make another attempt at it. Martin Truex Jr. also is gonna make an attempt this year, fresh off of retirement. Welcome back. First race.
Didn't take long
for him to want to come back. And that's going to be a Tricon Garage entry, which is a Truck Series team. But Joe Gibbs is going to prepare that car.
Makes sense.
Anthony Alfredo is going to run the 62 for Beard Motorsports. Chandler Smith's going to try get in, run the 66 car. BJ McLeod, really hope he makes it. He's going to run the 78. Jimmy Johnson's going to take another stab at it, 84. And then Elio Castroneves in the 91 is already locked in on the provisional. Whether he makes it on speed or races his way in or whatever, he's in.
I'm an idiot.
What?
I looked down earlier and read his name as Helio.
Well, it's all right.
I'm sorry, guys. That was
Helio.
Oh my god.
So
Elio.
Okay.
I've been saying his name
too.
all week, and I've been thinking it was Helio. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay.
So with that world-class driver provisional that he's getting, if he qualifies on speed and makes it in, or if he races his way in, it's going to stay at a 40-car field, the maximum field size for what NASCAR runs now in the Cup Series. Mm-hmm. But if he can't make it on speed, I think if he can't make it on speed, he's not going to jeopardize wrecking the car in the duel. But he could race his way in through the duel. But if he doesn't make it on speed, doesn't make it in on the duel, it'll be a 41-car field.
Yeah. So he's the only one that is a guarantee.
Right.
Sorry about
that. Who did you have for gonna make it in on speed, gonna make it in racing, whatever?
So I kind of just said they're gonna just race in. I don't know exactly how they will, but I said Martin Truex Jr., Allgaier, Jimmy Johnson, and I think that Elio's gonna make his way in. That it's
not fall back on the provisional.
No. Okay. I don't think it's gonna matter on the provisional. I have no grounds of why I think that. I just think that's what's gonna happen. Um, I think it's gonna be a 40 car field. Um, yeah. So what do you have on that one?
So I think Allgaier's gonna make it on just strictly speed. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think he's gonna have to worry about racing his way in. I think it being a Hendrick prepared car, knowing that he needs to make it in on speed, there's a shot he could even get front row. Honestly, I didn't want to go that bold with it all, but I mean, knowing that he has to make it on speed, Hendrick's, you know, preparing the car, it's probably
Mm-hmm.
gonna be a really fast car. And then I know I said Toyota doesn't really speed wise do all that great, but I'm gonna say Jimmy Johnson makes it in on speed. We'll see. Might be wrong about that. Don't know. But racing their way in, I'll say Truex and Anthony Alfredo. Anthony Alfredo is pretty good when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to Xfinity Series on super speedway races. He's raced some in that Beard Motorsports 62 different teams in the Cup Series, you know, here and there randomly at super speedways, and I think out of who's left and all that, I think he has a good shot at racing his way in, and that does mean I'll say it's 41 car field because I don't think that Leo is gonna make it on speed, and I personally just feel like if they don't make it on speed, they're not gonna want to risk tearing the car up in the duel, knowing that they're in.
Yeah.
It'll kind of be like Blaney at the Clash, where okay, you know, you fix something the night before, you're in the last chance qualifier, but you don't have to race your way in.
Yeah.
You can fall back on it. So you go out there, you
Mm-hmm.
make some laps, you make sure everything's good, and then you're kind of all right, cool. I mean, not gonna worry about it.
That makes sense. Yeah. Sorry, y'all. My dog is on the couch going crazy. Um. The Yeah, that makes sense why she's going crazy. Mal took her collar off. Sorry, this is totally off topic and everything.
Squirrel moment.
Squirrel moment. Woo. All right. So we got anything else for previewing?
Not really. I don't think. I mean, for the most part, I kind of feel like qualifying's gonna be pretty straightforward. You're probably gonna have a Chevy and a Ford.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe both Chevys, maybe both Fords, but probably a Chevy and a Ford. And I think the dual races, I mean, there'll be nothing like heat races from Bum and Gray. It won't
Yeah.
be super chaotic. I mean, yeah, it makes a difference where you finish. So you start better in the 500, but it's such a long race that you can start farther back in the field and make your way up when it comes to the 500.
Yeah.
I think the most aggressive racing is just going to come from the open cars that are trying to
Make it in.
make it in.
Yeah.
I mean, there'll probably be a wreck in both of them,
Yeah.
but I don't think it'll be anything super crazy.
Yeah. I agree on that. Um. So yeah. Well, guys, we hope you have a good rest of your week. Have a good Daytona experience. Those of you that are going down to the Daytona 500 or are going to be there, be safe, please. Make sure you have a DD in some way, shape, or form, whether that's Uber or your friend. But don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Twitter, we're not the checkered chat. We're, what is it? Checkered.
I think it's checkered chat underscore. Let me double check.
Something other like that. Everything is
Yeah,
on our
checkered chat underscore.
checkered chat underscore on Twitter. And we are on Spotify, Apple Podcast, finally.
We are?
On my end, it says we are. I don't
Okay.
know. I haven't tried to look it up exactly. And Amazon Music, we are on there too. So yeah, check us out in all those places. And yes, we are officially on Apple Music.
Podcast.
Apple Podcast. Oh my God. I do that every time. Ugh. Anyways. Yeah, that's it for this week. So thank you guys for listening to the Checkered Chat, and we will see you next